Welcome back, Mets fans, and welcome back, baseball fans. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. So again, please, if you can like this and subscribe, it just means so much, and I can't thank you enough. Okay, so today's video, why the Mets, it's so essential. They must win a World Series this year. And there are a lot of consequences if they don't. It is essential. We're going to go over some very important reasons. And the last reason might be the most controversial, but please, bear with me. Okay, so number one, plain and simple. Reason one, the competition is being forced to get better and better because of Steve Cohen. Now, I'll give you an example. Phillies. Would they have gotten Trey Turner and spent 11 years, $300 million a couple years ago? I don't think so. I think they were pretty complacent around building around Bryce Harper. Would they have spent the money last year on Kyle Schwarber? I don't know. I don't think so. Would the Braves go out and make trades with the who they make the trade for the first baseman? But the Braves are making uncharacteristic moves for themselves. They are used to making these moves where they sign their guys up from the farm system, but they're also making trades as well. And they're really stacking up, and they're bringing guys up, I think, a little earlier than they're supposed to. The Padres signing and trading for everybody under the sun, not letting guys get to free agency. Why? It's always been a thing in the past where, you know what? You negotiate in the last year or you would let the guy get to free agency, but teams are acting differently. Teams are spending more money because they know there's a guy in Queens. A guy with $18 billion in his pocket. A guy who will take your best player and pay him well. So there are reasons why there's going to be stiffer competition out there. So the Mets, they have to be aware of that. They have to be aware that they have to play things different and they have to take advantage of their opportunities. Okay, so that's number one. There's going to be better competition as the years go on. Number two, the Steve Cohen tax is going to increase. So the Steve Cohen tax, as they named it, is anytime that a team goes over $292 million in their payroll, they're going to have to pay 90% of anything over $292 million. So if you spend $10 million over $292 million, then you're going to have to get a tax of $9 million. So even though you spend $10 million, you're going to have to pay $19 million because of that 90%. And you know what? That did nothing to stop Steve Cohen and the Mets. They blew past that. And they would have blew past that even more if they would have signed Carlos Correa. So we know that the Steve Cohen tax has done nothing to deter Steve Cohen and the Mets. So I know in the future, MLB, because they're going to be pressured by the owners to come up with something that will deter Steve Cohen and the New York Mets. So plain and simple, number two, the tax will get higher. Okay, number three, the payroll right now is the highest in baseball. Fangraphs has the payroll around $355 million, which is number one in baseball. So you know what? With that type of payroll, and we've gotten indications that payroll will go down as the farm system gets better. So you got to take advantage of the highest payroll. Number one payroll in history. Number two payroll this year, just for your reference, Fangraphs has the New York Yankees at $272 million. So good job, New York, big market, spending the money. And also, the Padres are number three with this new signing or extension contract of Manny Machado. They come in at $255 million. Okay, so the payroll's high. You gotta win. Number three, we have aging players. So every year, our players are going to get older and older. And with aging players come risks of lesser performance, injuries, and things change when players get older. So we have to worry about Marte. He's going to be another year older. We know how good he is. So this year I would assume he's going to be just as good as he was last year, but we don't know how he's going to be next year in the future. We have Max Scherzer, going to be 30 years old. He's only getting older and older. Justin Verlander, David Robinson, Adam Ottavino, and the list goes on and on. So you have to understand we have a very old team right now. We are set to win now. I don't know how it's going to be next year or the year after that. Another reason why we have to win now. Okay. Number 4, reason why we have to win now. Our young pitching to supplement these old guys is a couple years away. Blake Tidwell, Dominic Hammond, Calvin Ziegler, they're not ready this year. They're not ready next year, most likely. These guys are going to be a couple years in the minor leagues, so we have to win with our all-star players now. And even if they were to, let's say, I know people are saying, yeah, they might come up next year. Yeah, but they're not going to come up and most likely have a dominating impact like a Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander. So that's what I'm saying right now. When you have these aces at the top of the rotation, and truth be told, then not a lot of guys like Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. So when you have them, you have to make sure you take advantage of them. This is why Steve Cohen technically right now is all in this year. Okay. Now, another thing is, and I just want to mention this, this is not really a point, but contracts are going to be expiring. Max Scherzer, I believe he has a player option for next year, 2024. So who knows what's going to happen next year? What if he decides not to take that? What if he decides to retire? He's going to be 40 years old. He has the option to do that. I mean, he's going to have 43 million reasons not to do that, but you never know. So that's another thing. His contract is going to be expiring, and he's either a number 1 or number 2 pitcher. Okay, now this is going to be the most controversial one, and if other fans of other teams are watching this, they're going to be like, no. But I've seen a lot of things on message boards, and I've seen a lot of things around. People are upset about the Mets. They're like, they're spending too much money. Somebody should stop them. This is bad for baseball. And here's what I think is going to happen. And we've seen it before. So the next reason. Teams will collude against the Mets. They're going to collude against the Mets. If there's one guy that is so much heads and shoulders better than you, and he could flaunt his money, flaunt his wealth, throw out $2 million for Super Bowl commercials and not even think twice, that makes a lot of other owners mad. A lot of other owners angry. That's why we've already seen in the past how the Mets have to give up an arm and a leg just to make a trade at the trade deadline. So that's something that we're going to have to take in mind, that's only going to get worse. So another reason why we must win this year is because I believe teams will collude and they will make Billy Epler and Steve Cohen's life a lot more difficult. And we've seen that in the past. I mean, 10, 15, 20 years ago, the Yankees, they used to be able to run, the show, get guys at the trade deadline, always add pieces, take on extra money, and, basically give nothing away. All they would do was eat up money. That's how they would get better. But as time went on, teams, they aren't helping the Yankees anymore. They really aren't. I mean, give Cashman all the credit in the world. I mean, he's got a lot of money, but it hasn't been easy for him. It really hasn't. We're going to see how things go with Rodon and how the rotation goes this year, but it hasn't been easy for Cashman. It hasn't. And I think it's because teams, they just don't want to help teams like the Yankees and the Mets who have so much money and have so many resources. It's just not that what they want to do. So that's another reason why we have to take advantage of the rules in place right now. We can spend $400 million. We can take on salary. Things are in our benefit right now. So this is the time to win, and this is so essential for the roster that we have, for the team that we have, we must win now. 2023 is the year of the New York Mets. Plain and simple, that's what it's going to be. And that's what's it's gonna happen. And I just want to get back to one point. I want to look up one thing. Okay, yeah. So the guy I was referring to, if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you are the best. And the guy I was referring to in the beginning of the video when I was referring to the Braves was Matt Olson. That is a guy who you know what, I don't see the Braves acquiring him a couple years ago. I just don't. And it was because they were losing Freddie Freeman, and they knew that they couldn't fall too far behind the Mets. They knew Steve Cohen. He was a brand new owner, and Steve Cohen forced his team to do things that they wouldn't normally do. It's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new park with Steve Cohen in town. And you know what? It's great for us Mets fans. It's horrible for everybody else. And all the other fans, they're not happy. They're not happy. I mean, think about how you felt when the Yankees were signing all these players, and the Mets, we were signing Dylan Betances. That was our big guy. It didn't feel good. It really didn't. But you know what? Truth be told, we've been in that situation, and now we deserve to actually have what we have. So, you know what? Tell me what your thoughts are. Again, like and subscribe. I like having these videos where we kind of interact and kind of think a little. It's fun to think about these things, and I like think about these Met situations and scenarios. So let's see what happens. Good thing is the season will be here soon. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Have a great night, and let's go Mets.